When I joined the military, like all of these men, one of the things that they had to do, now we have a lot of different reasons for joining the military. Some of us just want to get out of town. Some of us were drafted. Some of us, the officers said, it's a good thing if you join the military and get out of town. One of those things. But anyway, whatever the reason was why we went in the military, or why we decided to join, or was drafted, or whatever, we all had to do one thing. We stood with our right hand up, and we said, we swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States and defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Every one of us swore that. And I spent 26 years in the Navy, and I can see by looking at the hash marks over here that he spent longer than that in the Army. But the idea was that we have never been released from that swearing in or that vow that we made to defend the Constitution of the United States. Even though we retired or we got out, nobody ever released us from that. And the reason we weren't released from that oath is simply because we swore to do it for life. We didn't know it at the time, but that's what we did. And not a one of us, not one military man that I ever knew, looks at that flag and doesn't see something other than stars and stripes. They see people that have died on the battlefield, people they've known that died on the battlefield. They see those kind of things, or those flag-draped coffins that you see in the back of an aircraft, or that they're flying back home after they've died. That's what we see. We see that it takes more than simply just joining the service and living your life for the rest of your life. We see that it takes a little sacrifice to be a military man. What would you say if I asked you to tell me what freedom means to you? When I was 16, I remember that I got a motorcycle. It was a little Triumph TRA, but it was a nice little Triumph, and it was a 125 little dirt bike. But when I got on that bike, I have never felt so free in my whole life. And that's the kind of freedom I'm talking about. The freedom to go anywhere, to do anything, to be anything you want to be. That's the kind of freedom that we fight for. And there's an awful lot of us that was overseas, not to make light of it, but when we were fighting and somebody asked us what we were fighting for, I got a girl back home. That's what I was fighting for, to get back home and see her. That's all I was really fighting for, to get back over there. But the point is, we all fought for that freedom that you enjoy. The freedom to assemble like this. You have that freedom, You have the right to come here and assemble like that. And for the principal, the vice principal, to organize this. There are some countries where you would be killed for that, for getting in a group like this and just listening to somebody talk. You're not allowed to assemble. So those are the kind of freedoms that you take for granted, I'm afraid, most of the time. Why do you think people from foreign countries hate us so badly? Do you think people, it's not, I'm sure you've all seen it, the news where some terrorist tells you how much he hates the United States and he's going to blow it up and do all these atrocities in the United States. Why do you imagine that they do that? We've never done personally anything to them. Why do they hate us so badly? They hate us because we have the one thing that they don't, and that's individual freedoms. We have that freedom. I believe that's the reason they hate us so bad, is we have all of these freedoms, and they don't think we should have those freedoms. I don't think anybody should have. They might hate us for some other reasons, but I think that's the major reason that they hate us. hate the United States. But I've never seen anybody that comes into this country from a foreign country that didn't enjoy their freedom. You know, and we gave them that right. We fought for the right that the people coming into this country would have the same rights as everybody else. I want you to make, I don't want you to make any mistake about it. I mean, you look down here and see a lot of gray hair, a lot of old people. Don't make a mistake and think that we are not willing to fight for it still. That flag over there will fly over this country. It'll fly over it forever. And the reason it does is because it means the freedom, that you have that kind of freedom, and it means that you have people like these men sat down on this front row that are willing to fight for that freedom. And so long as that is going on, so long as we're able to do that, to have those people, and believe me, we have an awful lot of young people in the military today that are willing to do the same thing. And as long as we have them, that flag will fly. And no matter what all the other countries in the world want to do to this country, they won't be able to do it. I thank you for listening to me today, my little rant and raving, and even my joke. Thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you. Patriotism is simply that desiring to defend, to have respect for the flag and those that have served you in this country. So if you get a chance today, shake their hands and thank them for their service. It's one of the things that when we got back from Vietnam, we didn't get treated very well. It's one of the things that we appreciate. To end this, if you will, I'll tell you a story. And when 9/11 happened, I happened to be down in San Antonio, Texas, and my grandson, his school invited everybody that had served in the military over, and they had a Patriots Day, just like you're having here, to celebrate the veterans. And they asked everybody to wear a hat or to wear something that indicated what service they were in. And I happened to be stationed in July, and there was an old Army sergeant that I knew him when I was in July in the Vietnam. And he and I were talking, and we weren't paying much attention. And then they started playing the anthems from all the different services. And then they asked us all to get up and stand in the back of the room. Every child and every teacher came around and shook our hand and thanked us for our service. And I looked down, and Sergeant Ramirez was sitting there, and he was standing there, and tears were in his eyes. I said, "Sergeant, you all right?" He said, "That's the first time anybody ever thanked me." And he had been out almost 20 years at the time. So it does mean something to us, each and every one of us. So feel free to thank us. Even give us a hug if you're a pretty girl. No, it doesn't mean that. But I'd like to. All right. Well, thank you again for listening to me. I appreciate it. Thank you for doing this for the veterans. Thank you very much.